All right, hey everybody, welcome to the show. Will Roberts and
Mike Pfeiffer.
that's right, Pfeiffer Film
Yeah,
Academy.
yeah,
And
with a F, not a P,
yeah, yeah.
and
But
not a
by the
W.
way, oh wait, I like your other hat better. I thought that was pretty funny. That's your
Yeah,
Pfeiffer Film Academy hat.
Pfeiffer
So
Film Academy.
welcome to the show. It's called From Audition to Action because I'm the actor. He's the directucer. What is it? Direct
Director.
directucer.
I couldn't fit the word writer in there, or babysitter, or post supervisor, or DIT.
Well,
So
that's
it's
awesome.
just a double thing there,
I
director. Yeah,
love it. I love it. And you
yeah.
can
But
follow
when you
us.
make any films, you got to do everything. So
Well, in this, again, I'm going to go back. By the way, the subject today is called blocking. And if you're an
blocking
actor, it'll be crucial.
sounds boring, but it's not. Well, no, it's really. Let me just say this, okay? It's not a director's job to tell actors how to act. It's their job to tell them where to go, unless they suck. Then you got to tell them how to act. But it's important for directors and actors. But and blocking is critical. It's critical.
Absolutely, it is, and we're going to find out. And by the way, yesterday, if you saw the show, and you can look in the lower thirds and you can see the YouTube channel, and of course, if you want to go to be a part of Michael's classroom, which is online, it's the school, which right there below, you can
Yeah.
see SKOOL, and it's just dumb cheap. I mean, it's just $10. I feel like I should buy like a block of these memberships and give
Will
away for
Will thinks I should
Christmas.
charge $10,000 a month, but I'm going to give it for $10.
This is what would you'd have to do if you had 10,000. You'd be walking around with a bunch of people holding your hands, which by
And
the way,
are you putting your website on the
oh,
lower third?
of course I am. Uh, but just so you know, just by the way, Pfeiffer Film Academy, if you go there, he's got this great in person. And if you want to kind of throw that out and get it in your community and do it, what is it, a 5 day? What is
I
it?
have an in-person 5 night class because people work.
Yeah.
So the class is from 6 p.m. to 11 p.m. Monday through Friday, whenever I can collect 6, 7, 8, 9 people that are available. So we've done it in Los Angeles, we've done it in Atlanta. We were going to do one in Hawaii. We haven't done that yet. But if you get a group of people together, I might even be doing one with Manuela in Austria, actually.
Oh, I better
And
be
we might
there.
be doing one with Kostas Mandalar in Madeira. So
Madeira.
it's actually we have a really good time. It's the in-person class. It's like everything you learn on Pfeiffer Film Academy, but in person with it's just more. It's a lot of fun, but there's a lot of blocking exercise. I think it's the best way to teach directing and filmmaking. Blocking exercise is really important.
So,
So we're
so
going to
just
talk
so
about
you
that.
know, the word blocking here, give us the definition of that and let's launch into it.
Well, blocking is the position of characters within a scene, right? So where they're positioned. Now, they could be just positioned talking to each other like this, or they could be positioned walking into a house, talking at the door, walking through the house, talking in the fireplace, walking in their house, talking in the kitchen. So, what is that pathway that those characters take? That's the blocking of a
That's the
scene.
blocking. Yeah.
So, let's say there's a scene where somebody is waiting at a table for a date, and then the date walks in the door. So, you as the director have to tell the actors where you want them, which door do you want them coming in, which booth you need them sitting in. So that information is then necessary for the cinematographer to know, for the camera, the focus puller, the first AC to know,
Yeah.
production designer, the costume designer. So it all starts with that blocking. And hopefully, if you have a secure director, they're going to tell the actors the blocking and then not get in your face about how you should be performing within that space.
Right.
You know? So
Well, and on that note, as an actor, and we'll get more in depth through the show here, but as an actor, I love that stuff because you definitely need to know your lines. You need to know as an actor who you are, your character, and all that stuff in the background. But what you do with the blocking can be extremely powerful for your character. If I've often made recommendations to a director saying, "Hey, do you mind, or where's the camera? Because I'd love to come in this way. And if I did this, I think it would be very strong." What's your thoughts on an actor, elaborating and asking those questions? And I know maybe
well,
script supervisor, but yeah.
well, this is an It's an important lesson I teach the Fight for Film Academy, which is how I start off the blocking, which is that if you want to get a movie done good, fast, and cheap, right? They always
Mhm.
say pick two out of the three, but if you do it, if you go to the Fight for Film Academy, you'll learn good, fast, and cheap. But
Yeah.
one of the tricks is as soon as you get to set, send the actors to makeup and wardrobe. Don't bring them to set to rehearse
No.
and to block, okay? Because what's going to happen 2 hours later, after all this conversation and everything, then they're going to go to makeup and wardrobe. That's going to take 2 hours. You're not going to get your day started for 4 hours.
Yeah.
So, as a director, if you have the blocking, your intention of your blocking and your blocking strategy in mind, you can immediately send the actors to make up a wardrobe the moment they arrive on set. Then you get on set and with your AD, your DP, your production designer, your gaffer, your whole group, you're going to tell them where the actors are going to go so they can start lighting the space.
Right.
So it informs them. They can start lighting everything. They can lay dolly track if you need to. The Steadicam operator can feel the space, whatever it might be. The production designer can be designing. You can use stand-ins. You can use crew members as
Right.
stand-ins. I stand in a lot. By the way, if you ever stand in, turn your hat around, okay, so we
Yeah.
can see your face, unless you're wearing a
Yeah.
hat,
Yeah.
right?
Yeah.
And so that information informs. So then when the actors are, so hopefully all worlds converge, right? So grip and light is done, camera's done, art department's done, makeup and wardrobe's done, and then all worlds converge. And then all you have to do is tell the actors where they're going to go within the space.
Right.
Then within that space, within that blocking scenario, then it's okay for an actor to say, "Hey, you mind if I walk this pace, or
Hmm.
what if I come here?" But if they say, "Well, I think my character would come in the side door," and you just block the whole thing to come, no, you got to be strong as director. Go, nope, we already blocked the whole scene.
No.
It's lit. It's done. We're not going to do it. You're coming through the front door. But
Yeah. Well,
actors
that's
don't.
it, but I'm so sorry, but that's like coming into the party like an hour later and finding out it's a costume party that you weren't really paying attention. You can't just jump into something and go, I have an idea if you don't know the background. But I want to tell you something that I think is very important about what you just said as an actor. I love the idea about what you're doing, and I know that's what you do because I've worked with you several times, and I've had the other
But
way
you're on a horse
around.
every time, so it's different.
Yeah, that's true.
I don't
But
have to tell you to come to me. I tell the horse, and then
yeah,
that's why
yeah,
we put you on a horse. So it's
yeah.
just more efficient.
But the reason why I like the way the process you're talking about in what you do, and I've worked with other directors that do it the other way, is that an actor when they get on set really needs time to adjust to where they're at, who their people are, what their character is, and we have a process. And if you're sitting in the chair, I'm telling you right there, you're most of the time if you're sitting in the chair, unless you're totally secure with your lines and everything, you're still looking over the script and going, and you're getting into character by them putting. I'm a method actor. You can gouge my eyes out. I've worn contacts. I've busted my teeth. I've done just about everything you can imagine. And when you're in that chair and they're setting everything, when you walk on, your camera ready as
Right.
opposed to you go in the beginning and then you're like, God damn, I got to get into hair and makeup. Come on, can we go? Can we go? You know what I mean?
Yeah. Well, listen, this is audition versus action. So from a director's point of view, I don't really want to get in a conversation with actors about where they want to start and walk in the scene and their blocking and everything. I want them to feel that I want them to perform within that space.
Yeah.
So from a director's perspective, like I said, send them away, set up the blocking, and when they come back, tell them the blocking, and they have all that space to perform within that blocking.
Okay.
From an actor's perspective, your perspective might be, hey, I want to be there in the morning to walk through the blocking and take all that time and rehearse it over and over again.
Right.
And but that's on the 90-day shoot,
Yeah.
not on the
Yeah.
15-day shoot.
You ain't
On the
getting that
90-day
shit.
shoot, we can bring, but we'll rehearse too. We might already rehearse at the location. That
Yeah.
would be different.
I
Uh,
absolutely agree. Let me ask you a question in regards to blocking. Give us a little insight on how you actually do it. Is this something because you've done so many films? I mean, what do you like 100 and whatever? Uh, is this something now that is so entrenched into your system that you go, oh, this is simple. I'm going to use a 50 here. I'm going to take them coming in here. They're going to go down. Is that what you do, or do you
yeah,
have a
no,
process? May
yeah.
I
I mean, the
ask?
more you do it, the more simple it is to come up with a blocking scenario. But the moment you should always be scouting your locations beforehand. But even if you don't have time to scout location, let's say you lost the location and
Yeah.
you're coming there the morning of, the more experience you have, I can look at a location, I know my script, and I know the blocking scenario. I know what I want to do, and I can see the space. And then from that blocking scenario, I then know where I want to place the camera. I don't need a shot list. And a shot list for me, a shot list is great if you're doing action, if you have
Yeah.
to convey a lot of information to a big crew.
Sure.
But if you're just doing standard dialogue sequences or simple fight sequences or whatever it might be, you should be able to, from the blocking scenario, know pretty much every angle you're going to
Yeah.
shoot, what you're going to start off with, and what lenses you're going to use. So, but something with blocking is another aspect of blocking, which I call zones of coverage. Okay, so when you're directing, you really got to think of the blocking scenario, but also where are the zones of coverage. So, if I use that example, which I use in my blocking class, if we have Joe and Liz, Liz shows up at the front of the house, pulls her car up, slams on her brakes, get out of the car, goes up the front door, bangs on the door. Joe opens the door. Now I have a zone of coverage at the door, right? So I might shoot a wide shot of Liz driving up or a crane shot of her driving up, or maybe I'll shoot a POV through the blinds of her driving up. But there's going to be them at the door. And that's zone of coverage one, And
Right.
so I can then convey to my DP and my gaffer and my key grip where we're going to be at the door first. Then Liz is going to burst through the door, go over to the fireplace to go grab like a picture of the two of them to smash it over his head or something. And then they have dialogue at the fireplace. Now that's zone two. That's zone of coverage two.
Right.
Then, Joe is going to run off and go grab a knife out of the kitchen. She's going to run off and then, they're going to have a fight or something. That's the third zone of coverage.
Right.
So you know your script, that there's going to be stop and start somewhere, unless
Sure.
unless it's just a handheld all the way through. But
Yeah. Right. Yeah.
depending if someone's at the door and they open the door, there might be dialogue there. That's a zone of coverage right
Yeah.
there. We're gonna bring our stand-ins in. We're gonna lay marks on the ground. Then we're gonna go to zone two. We're gonna have our stand-ins in, light it, have our marks on the ground, then go to zone three. And then when the actors come to set, we're gonna show them. This is where the first zone of coverage is. Here's the second. Here's this. You have this much space to work. We'll watch the rehearsal, and then we'll tweak the lights accordingly. We'll make some tweaks. They'll have some space to adjust. But there's the blocking scenario, and within the blocking is the zones of coverage. And then we're pitching. We talked about yesterday the line of action.
180.
We're picking which side of the line we're on, which shoulders we're over.
Right.
And so the whole crew will know this information.
Right.
The crew's going to know if we're at the fireplace, right? The line of action is, say, between Joe and Liz,
Right.
and the cameras are on the living room side pointing towards the fireplace because we want to see that picture on the wall, the two of them
Right.
in better days or something,
Yeah,
So,
which puts into the scene. Yeah, got it.
right. So we'll know our line of action. And so if an actor's like, well, I want to go over there. No, you can't go over there. We already
This
blocked
is
it. We
established.
already ranged it.
Yeah.
We already lit it. But also we're going to lose out on that great shot of the two of you, a two-shot profile with the picture of you guys in a better time at the fireplace,
Right. Right.
So it's walking onto a set and knowing your script and then knowing human nature, right? Just like as an actor, I'm sure you're going to walk in and go, well, I would do this, or I would walk over
That's
here,
right. Yeah.
And so as a director, you kind of have to know human nature, and you kind of have to get ahead of the actor,
Yeah.
what you think the actors might do. And actors, I think, and you tell me, I think they're looking for blocking information. They're looking for like, why am I going to that fireplace? So I have to say, well, you're going over to the fireplace because that's where that picture is, and there's a vase over there because you're thinking of hitting Joe over the head with the vase.
Right.
And so I'm giving them a reason to. So you also have to provide them with a
Their
reason,
motivation.
motivation, right? So
Yeah. Well, let me throw this out for the actors, and that is that this is my way of doing things is that usually on a blocking rehearsal, I say nothing. I'll carry the script just because I want to make sure that we're doing it. And if you want to mark it up or whatever you want to do. But the reason why I think that's important just to really kind of shut up and say nothing and not really putting much acting in it is that's not the time you're acting. That's the time that you're going, where am I going? And I want to justify and see what I'm doing and understand what line I'm going to do this or do that or pick up this and do that. And I'm saying this with all due respect, and please correct me if I'm wrong. If you don't like actors to do this, I may learn something today. But I say be as generic as you can because I don't think anybody wants you to get out during a blocking rehearsal and go, to be or not to be. Hold on a second. I'm going to go. It's not the chance for you to shine. It's a chance for you to be able to find the elements that will eventually make you shine in that shot.
Yeah.
Make
Also,
sense?
during a blocking rehearsal, you want to let the crew work while you're
That's
blocking.
right.
And so if you're trying to be Shakespearean thespian on set
Yeah.
during a blocking rehearsal, now you're just slowing the process down.
Yeah.
You will have a chance to rehearse
Hmm.
after everything's set and
Yeah.
lit, you know. And by the way, directors always and actors should always ask for this, unless it's the very, very few cases, but you should always be shooting the wide shots first, always shooting the masters first.
That's right.
That way you can lock in the blocking and then start with the wide and then work your way in tighter also.
Right. Well, let me ask you a question since you brought that up. Are you, I know the answer to this. Do you subscribe to the idea of shooting the master and just shooting the beginning and the end? Or do you
No,
want to shoot the whole
no.
thing?
I shoot the whole thing for two reasons. First of all, we shoot digital now. We're not shooting film.
Yeah. So we're not wasting
Digital is
footage.
cheap. Hard drives
Mm,
are cheap. Okay.
yeah.
An 8 terabyte hard drive
Yeah.
costs $175. Okay. Back
Nothing.
in the day, just a
Yeah.
1,000 feet
Film.
of film was
Yeah.
$600-700. Okay.
Yeah.
So there's no reason not to run it from beginning to end, because what it also does is it locks in where you're going and what you're doing. You don't know, you might want to use something from the middle, you know.
That's right.
A master can be used for the opening, the ending, and you might be like in really, really close in the close-ups, and then you want to get breathe and be out.
Yeah.
Well, if you only did the beginning and end, then
You're
and also,
stuck.
how long is a scene? Let's say a scene
Yeah.
is two
Two,
minutes
three.
long. Is
Yeah.
it really a
Maybe.
big deal? In fact, it takes longer. This drives me crazy. It takes longer to stop and say, okay, now go to the end. And then the
Yeah.
actor's like, well, which line should I start with? And then you're searching through, or the script supervisor, they're kind of trying to figure it out. And before you know it, you could have just done the whole scene.
Yeah,
So
it's
just
kind of
the whole
bad.
scene.
It's bad puzzling because I agree with you that, and a lot of times, if you're doing, and you are the master of doing many, many shots and many angles, and that's great.
Coverage. I
Yeah,
like to do a lot of
coverage.
coverage.
Yeah,
Yeah.
and that's great because then you don't. If you were the type of director that went middle and end, you would have lots in between that you could do. But I love the idea about shooting the whole thing because one, in essence, it's kind of a rehearsal for the actors anyway.
Well,
Plus,
you should always
they
use the
play.
master's rehearsal.
Yeah, they're playing. And
Yes.
you can find things when they're doing that because you are from a distance. And to be honest with you, as an actor, it actually for me builds the confidence of the scene, which by the way, I think is one of the most crucial things for an actor in shooting and doing things. I don't care if you got your lines down. I don't care what I mean, that's important. I'm just saying that the confidence that you have in the scene is based upon everybody putting it all together. And if you're like going, so you want me to do just these 4 lines and then I'm going to go to the end.
Do the whole
I
thing.
have no continuity.
Yeah. By the way, do you speak French?
I have a very good French accent. I did no,
I
no,
have a
I have a
French
little bit.
I have a French word that I use. It's actually one of my Pfeiffer jargons, but
Yes,
it's not really French. But it's called a chatersel.
sure.
We
Yeah,
do
that's right.
we shoot a chatersel, which is we shoot a shitty rehearsal. Okay, so a master can really be. In fact, if I was an actor, I'd say turn the cameras on. Let's shoot the master. Let's shoot the
Yeah,
rehearsal.
yeah.
Let's
I
chaters. We'll
yeah.
say on set, let's chaters, because it's just geography, but it's also going to give you an opportunity. You know what shooting a master does too at that point in the beginning or chatersing is it shuts everybody up too.
Yeah,
Whenever you're actually rolling camera, people stop talking.
yeah,
If you're actually rehearsing, people are still getting their phone
yeah,
calls, still making adjustments behind you. But the moment you yell, you roll sound and you roll camera and you yell action, everybody's quiet. So you actually focus more. And it's just digital. It's just digital information.
yeah,
Not going to cost anybody more money. If it's film, film is another thing. Don't
yeah,
waste film.
yeah.
But
No,
I don't. Listen. I've shot a lot of movies. I don't believe in shooting in film anymore unless you've got a lot. I don't. Honestly, I don't. my mother and your mother can't tell the difference between film or digital. I think it's just
No,
an egotistical
no.
thing. I think that Christopher Nolan's movies would look just as good if they were shot digitally.
Absolutely.
Did you see the creator, by the way? Did you see the creator? Shot by Gareth Edwards. He
no.
did Rogue One and Godzilla. It stars Allison Janet, John David Washington,
Yeah,
Denzel. The movie is shot on a Sony FX3. It's shot on a $3,800 camera,
that's crazy.
and it looks spectacular,
Yeah,
just
I,
spectacular.
I
So
want to make a comment about that. By the way, I'm glad you brought that up. But by the way, my next question was going to be, do you shoot the rehearsal? Because I actually love shooting the rehearsal because
we should
again,
terse. We should
yeah,
terse.
shoot rehearsal. Yeah, the reason why I love that is because again, I'm going to say that an actor walks on set. I don't care if it's the first day or the last day. Obviously, the last day is a little easier to swallow as an actor, but you're trying to gauge everybody in there because let's be real, you got an ego, and what you're doing with your whoa, we just switched. That was weird. I
What
just
happened?
switched. I don't. I went like this, and it switched over. Somehow I did this,
What, a hand icon
and
showed up?
all of a sudden you're now on the right side.
Oh,
Anyway, um, but again, it's really I don't know how everybody else. It did it again.
it
I
just
don't know
what
how
happened?
everybody else does it in their world of acting and being on set, but for me, when you get comfortable, you get confident. And I said this earlier. And really, when you're
100%.
doing it and you cut off, when you cut off one really good shot and you're like, damn, I'm on it. We got to flow. But you don't get that when you're choppy and you're just going, oh, I'm just going to do this shot and that shot. But that wasn't my actual question. I know that you shoot the whole rehearsal. My question to you is that when you are putting this all together, do you actually jot down or is it all in your head?
No, it's all in my head. It's all in
Okay.
my head. But sometimes we get a little lost somewhere, and I might say, let's just run the whole thing through again because I can't remember exactly what line you stopped on and where our zone of coverage started and all that. So sometimes we'll just run it through again just to make sure we have it. By the way, something else. I'm gonna hold on. I
Are you
want
going to
to.
throw a shoe at me? I had a feeling you're going to throw a shoe at me.
This is important too. Is marking for blocking, right? Laying marks down.
Yeah.
Okay. What we'll do, so I don't like traditional marks, which are T's. Okay, a
Yeah, I
T
know.
mark,
Yeah.
right? Because they're not
T-shirt. Yeah.
accurate.
No.
So
And they
for actors,
move.
they move but they're not accurate. And I like for if I'm shooting over the shoulder and I'm on sticks on tripod as
Yeah.
opposed to handheld, I want it really accurate. And it's a suggestion I have for actors too, which is
Smart.
that a first assistant AC or second AC, whose job it is to lay down the marks, might just do a T mark, and they might even be paying attention to the rehearsal. Or in the blocking, they lay down the marks for the stand-ins, and now you're on those marks, but those
Oh, yeah.
aren't exactly right,
No.
right? So now they're laying new marks. But I actually don't like your standard mark. That's a T.
Yeah.
I actually like a mark, and I'll come on my
A
own.
half
I'll get
moon.
tape from the camera assistant, and I like a mark that goes right
A half
around someone's
moon.
foot. So like they're in a little
I
box,
love it.
so their
Like you're
foot.
going to try shoes on at Kmart.
Exactly. So it's a suggestion for directors or actors is sometimes it's really helpful when you're blocking and you're laying those zones of coverage. Now you're laying your marks. Is ask the camera assistant to give you a box around your foot or an edge. Sometimes
That's right.
don't go further than this,
That's right.
right? So if there's a T, then I can move. But if there's a line, I know I can't go past that.
Well, let's throw this out. And then one of the reasons why I think that you're doing this, which I think is a very good idea, and I'm going to make two comments about this, is efficiency. Because if you're a focus puller, you know that all it has to be is if I go like this, it could be the difference between going, all right, let's do it again. Your
Yeah.
mark is here, you do that. But the bottom line is that when you get those things and you're asking people to be efficient. The other thing I wanted to say, which I wanted to say much earlier, I want to make a very clear statement about when you said in the beginning of the show, you said, yeah, we put these together. They're, the budgets are lower and we're doing this run and gun. I just want to make it very clear, Michael, and I'm giving you this compliment because I think it's important to get it, is that I don't want anybody to disregard the quality and what goes into Michael Pfeiffer's or Pfeiffer Productions, and when you shoot movies, because I've been in them, and you do ask to have the best that you can get. You may be running gun, you may be going, let's do this and do that, but by all means, the only thing different nowadays as opposed to before was the fact that, there's less money out there. We're trying to make more. We're trying to get them out in distribution. We're trying to do YouTube, whatever you happen to be doing. So I want these things that we're talking about from here on in, from the actor's side to the director's side, to understand it's about being efficient and being able to, get these things put together quicker, so that way you can sell them and you can make them into full movies. And one last thing I want to say is that when you talked about the guy shooting on the Sony or whatever happened, what you were talking about, I remember when it changed. And when it changed, I was working with Fox Kids and I was a host, and I'd be what we call a one-man band. So I had a Beta SP, I was shooting, I was editing in the editing bay, which by the way was $1 million Mac bay that right now I can guarantee you that this right here is better.
Yeah, I'll bet. I know. I
And I
know.
remember seeing all this like stuff and firing it up, and they had like, it was big.
Yeah.
But when Blair Witch came out, I was in the news department doing a package, and I remember they're like, "Oh, did you see this thing, Blair Witch? Oh my God, it's like they're saying it's changing the industry," and it did. And you know why? They shot that thing through someone's underwear, and at that point when they did that run and gun weird, and the POVs were just, and it was scary and it was dark and everything, is that it changed the industry of film, because then they allowed and gave the license for everybody to grab anything you could shoot with, whether even if it was a pinhole camera, and you could produce anything and it would be accepted, because then YouTube went and squeezed it down, and it didn't matter if
Well,
you were
as long as
shooting
the
a low.
story's compelling, and at the end of the day, all that matters is what's in that rectangle.
Yeah,
There's a good movie that I think people could watch to sort of elucidate what you're talking about, which is a movie that Robert Pattinson did called Good Time.
I know
And
what that. Yeah, I know that movie.
it's just like street criminals running on the streets of New York. And
Yeah,
I don't, it looks to me like they're just using practical lights.
yeah,
It's grainy, but man, he puts on a great performance. It's raw, it's
yeah,
intense. You could shoot that movie with an iPhone if you wanted to.
yeah.
So you're on the streets of New York with $1 trillion locations with actors who are fully committed on any camera, and it doesn't matter as long as your story's compelling,
Yeah.
and as long as you have, I think the language of film is really important. I have an hour and a half lesson on language of film on
I
Fight
know
for
you
Film
do.
because
Yeah,
understanding, all the shots, and the psychological impact of shots and what lenses to use. But Good Time is a really interesting example of
but
that.
but I'll tell you what is an interesting takeaway from what you just said is it made me think about why most people don't actually make films, and why most people would love to, and they say they want to, and they should take the Fight for Film Academy. And the reason why I'm saying that is that they always think they're not ready. They're like,
Right.
well, I don't know. I don't have this $1 billion red or an Aria, whatever. And it's like, who cares?
Right.
Right?
Well, it's not the camera. It's just not. Um, I'll
Yeah,
this
please.
camera right here. This is called a Canon T2i. Okay. Uh, this
Okay.
camera, I shot a $500,000 movie called, you can look it up on Tubi TV. It's Golden Christmas 3 or Love for Christmas. It came out as two different names. It played on Lifetime and Hallmark. And the last 10 minutes of the movie takes place in New York City. The character, she goes to New York. Her boyfriend's upset because she left him to go for her to go direct off Broadway play, and then we see her life in New York. And then he follows her to New York, and he proposes to her on the observation deck of the Empire State Building, and then they fall in love. And I just took my two actors and this camera, and just a little zoom mic in their pockets, and shot the last 10 minutes of a $400,000 or $500,000 film with a high def. We were shooting high def back then, not
Yeah.
4K. We're shooting 2K with
Yeah.
this camera, you know,
Is
and
that a
it looked
fixed?
great.
That's not a fixed lens, is
No,
it?
no,
Is
no,
that a
no.
50?
This is a 50 on there.
Yeah. Oh, okay. Yeah.
Hey, that leads into something else I think is important for actors. Okay, something you were bringing up. You were talking about when people are on their marks and they move a little bit in the
Oh,
focus
yeah.
puller. I think this is really important for actors. Okay, I'm sure you can see this here.
I can. You're upside down.
Uh, yeah, see how it's the opening right there.
Yeah.
Okay, That's
Hmm.
the aperture.
Yeah, yeah,
A
iris.
lot of a lot of a lot of actors don't know this and understand this. So if you're shooting a scene and it's dark, and you might say to the focus puller, what f-stop you at? And if they say they're at a 1/8,
Ooh,
okay, you're going to know that you can't really move too much because the
nope,
focus is very, very
behind.
slight. The plane of focus is just
Yes.
barely there. If they said they're at a 5/6 or an
Oh yeah,
8,
yeah,
you can move all you want, you know?
yeah.
And good actors and actors been around a long time, they understand that. So this is wide open right now. This is like
Yeah, so you can move around.
you no, it's the opposite.
Oh, it's the I'm sorry, the small because you're
Opposite. The
focused. Yeah,
smaller everything's in focus.
right.
And this is a whole lesson, and this is the key to cinema. Cinema versus soap opera is shallow depth of field. It's really important if you're going to shoot. But it's really this is like those. This is like the advanced thing, that we're talking about here for actors. If you understand f-stops and you're shooting a romantic scene and the light's really dim, and then you keep moving around
No,
and you
you're
keep having
done.
to shoot that over because it's out of focus, and the AC is, you can see them sweating, and it's because you're moving around too much,
Yeah,
and then the DP might open up a little bit and give them a 4 or 5/6 or something, but now it doesn't look as good, and they're
right.
doing it because you won't stay still,
That's right.
you know, and
Wow.
now it might be a situation where you can't stay still, and then the director's like, guys, my actor needs to move, but it's a really advanced knowledge filmmaking craft thing. And when actors know that stuff, I'm really impressed. But I
Yeah,
meet directors who've directed 20 movies. They don't
yeah. They
understand that
don't
stuff.
know. Yeah, they don't know what to
But
look at.
um, but
Well, I want to
the
throw
wider
some.
it is, the more light comes in, right? But then the
Right,
harder it is, the shallower the depth of field, so the harder it is to focus.
right,
The wider it
right,
is, then you generally have it closed, and then there's more room, for
right.
focus.
You're less light, but your focus is better
Is
on the
is a deeper depth of field.
right, right.
Well, I could be in focus here and be in focus here on a 16,
Yeah.
and the focus puller doesn't have to pull the focus.
No,
Everything's in focus, But on a 1/8 where it's open like this, and now it's like literally. In fact, when you're directing, this is something for directors. You're not sure if something is in focus. Look at the ears. If the earlobes are in focus, the eyes are not in focus.
that's right,
You know?
because it's
Uh,
not that
or
wide.
the tip of the nose is in focus and the eyes aren't in focus,
Right, right.
So you want to see the earlobe out of focus. You want to see the tip of the nose out of focus. You want to see the eye in focus, because the eyes aren't in focus. The shot is garbage. Can't
Done.
use it. It's
Nope.
done.
Yeah.
It looks horrible.
It's,
So, anyways,
one thing I want to throw out as an actor tip that based upon what we're talking about, blocking and coverage, um, and I've seen this a lot lately from a lot of inexperience of actors, and that is that I was doing something recently, and they were doing my coverage, and I did my coverage, and I had three guys in back of me. They were playing. Anyway, they were playing people, and then they got done with my coverage, and they went to the other coverage on the other side. And when they did that, all three of the guys left and started playing on their phones and sitting in a
uh-huh.
corner.
Yeah.
And I'm like, and it was like 5 minutes, and they were setting the shot. And so at one point, the clapper girl came in, and she stood next to me, and I'm like, the director's name. I said, "Can we hold off a second?" He goes, "Yeah, what's up?" I go, "Guys, what are you doing back there?" "What do you mean? It's not our shot." I'm like, the guy, the person that stands here, Jeff, whatever, he's 6'1". She's 5'2". And I'm like,
You
"Do
mean
you
eye line?
think that they're gonna set the eye line correctly?" If I go, "What do you?" "Oh, well, I'm just, I'll be there when they need me." I go, "Get up here." And I was the guy on set, was the veteran on set, and everybody knew whatever. But I said, and I was messing with him, and I kind of made it funny. But I'm like, this is a biggest pet peeve that I have. You are part of the whole thing, especially when you're doing a Pfeiffer film, because you might be doing this, you might be holding something, it allows you, and this is one of the things I love about working with you is that you will learn, and I have said to you, and you have told me some of your students. I remember on Billy the Kid, the guy that came in, I forgot his name, and
Zach.
he was in your class, and that is it Billy the Kid that he was on?
Yeah, and it was Zach. He came.
Just to be on the set and work with you.
Oh no, to watch. And then I said, "Do you want to watch or do you want to work?" He goes, "I want to work." I said, "Okay, you're going to
Work.
operate B camera." And I taught him how to
Ha!
operate B camera. Yeah. Yeah. By the
Because
way,
if
by the way,
actors knew more about what they were doing with the camera, because back in the day, I remember when I was doing theater for 30 years, whatever, I'll be in my dressing room with my red M&Ms and Avion water. And you know what? Horrible way of putting it, because you're part of the whole production. And if you can learn, you're going to be so much better on camera.
well, let me tell you a story that's kind of horrifying, and I'm not going to name names, but I was making a pretty big Christmas movie that was like a Lifetime Hallmark type Christmas movie with a
Yeah.
very big name television actress,
Okay.
and she had a scene in a clothing store where she's buying clothing for her daughter, and the saleswoman in the clothing store was being played by my wife, of which she knew it was my wife, and we shot this actress's coverage. Okay, and it's a comedy too, so it's important to play off each other. We shot the actress's coverage. Now, by the way, we went to a far off location where she lived, so it would make life easier on her and
Sure.
and make it easier for her to do the movie. So here we are in her town. Okay, we're there for her. So home is very close, and we shot all of her coverage, and then we turn around to shoot my wife's coverage, and she says, "See everybody, bye." And I said, "We're not done with the scene. We have Kaya's coverage." She said, "Oh, I got to go." I'm like, we have her coverage, right? Oh, sorry, got to go. I've got to go. I've got to pick up the kids. I got to do this. She's fine. Don't worry, she'll be fine without me. And she takes off. And my wife had to do the scene to, a PA standing there.
I
And
hate
the
that.
rude the rudest thing, which by the way, the I'm not going to say what the movie's called, but there was a wedding scene and she was the one getting married, this actress, and I was shooting all the coverage. I had maybe 2 or 3 shots left. She's like, "I got to go. Bye. I have to go." I'm like, this is the whole movie right here. It's the way, sorry, I'm leaving. Got to go. Boom, leaves me. Like so rude. So actors, please don't get to that point in your careers where you're like that. Please, no
Yeah.
matter how big you are. In fact, I've worked with Al Pacino. He is the nicest, most giving guy. He's like the biggest actor in the world. And he'll stand there for you for 12 hours off
Yeah.
camera
Yeah.
just to give it to you.
Yeah.
Don't be this television actress like
Yeah.
that. Oh,
No,
man. Not right.
I had a series, something I was doing recently this year sometime, and same thing happened. Oh, I was in Greece or something, shooting something, and the person, like you said, they're leaving. I go, I'm sorry, but I stood here for you, and I'm the guy. I promise you, I will stand off camera. I'll be in contortionist moves to try to give that person that read. Because
Right.
that's bullshit.
Yeah.
Because if they're giving you that, you got to understand it's not about you. I
Yeah.
mean, ultimately, when they put it all together, the editor, yeah, I get it, but you got to give them something. And if you're not there and you go, that's not my job. Yes, it is your job. So actors, I agree wholeheartedly. Do not do that because it's not only rude, you show what a professional you're not.
Well, also, it's your face on camera. At the end of the day, nobody remembers who the director was. They don't really care unless it's some big movie. But at the end of the day, it's your face on camera,
Yeah,
and they're going to remember it for you. And if your scene partner isn't able to give as good of a performance because you left, it's just a reflection on you, and it makes the movie worse. And
yeah,
it's just from a, we make movies. We're with each other for 12, 14, whatever hours a day
yeah.
for many days together. You got to treat people humanely and kind and work together, and doing things like that is just horrifying, and it's just on
I,
principle it's not right.
I agree with
Morality is
you.
a big part of making movies.
Yes,
Moral.
stop
So,
doing the film for the red carpet.
yeah,
I
yeah.
mean, seriously, you're there, and really, I just think this is such a wonderful. I mean, it's art. It's passion, and God bless you if you get the greatest opportunity in the world to work with great directors, and they make you look really good. But that's not always going to happen, and what happens when you work with people who are not as good, and you're not up to speed with what you should know about blocking, about sightline, about all these things. You look as shitty too. And that's a problem because if you do some crappy stuff and you don't know what you're doing, you're done. You're going to be doing B movies or C movies or just verticals.
And and also, by the way, the when you look back on your life, when I look back on my life, when you look back on your life, there's family, there's
Yeah.
vacations, and then there's making the movies.
Yeah.
it's not the talking about the movies later. It's not the red carpet of the screenings. It's the process. The
Yes.
process is the life force, if you ask me. My
Yeah,
objective is to
I agree.
always be on set. It's just like a baseball player. It's being on the field playing ball. It's not
Hmm.
playing catch off the side. It's the actual game. And the game and the process of making movies is the life force. And
Right.
if you're so uppity that you can't even be there in the process for
Yeah,
another actor, you need to rethink your entire career
you
and what
do.
you're doing. Because
You
if you're
do.
not enjoying being on set making the movie, then I don't know what you're doing. Because
Well, I mean, let's be honest about the this whole equation, and that is that if you are working with a, let's say, Michael, you're producing something, or you're directing and producing it, um, and you deal with an actor. We talked about this yesterday briefly, and you deal with an actor that they might be good, he or she, but the experience you had with them is not good because they weren't giving, and they weren't giving, to the other actors or to the crew, or they treated someone. How possible is it that you're going to call them back?
Um, there's a lot of actors that I
Yeah.
just refuse to work with that I will
Yeah.
not call back. I will not lower myself to that level because of their behavior.
Yeah.
I mean, let me say this: there's not a lot, but there is a small collection of them. There's this one actor who was in 3 or 4 of my movies, and this one night he became this just belligerent jerk, and I refused to ever work with him again. And then he became popular on a very, 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 very famous podcast. I was like, you got to be kidding me.
Yeah.
This guy, I'm not gonna say who he is
Yeah.
either. Uh, Maybe I'll say it if you pay the $10 to fight for filming
Yeah.
time. No. So what
So
do
you
you
know
think?
not to do that.
As an actor, what kind of director do you like? I mean, like, can you feel out a director the moment you walk on set
Oh
or when
yeah.
you talk to him on the phone or
Oh yeah.
her?
No,
Like,
normally I'll have. I mean, we tend to get either the producers meeting or the directors, and I'll know. Look, I won't. I had a meeting with a director and the producer recently, even in the last couple of months, and they went, "Well, this is what we want to do, and that's what we're going to do, and we're set on that." And I go, "Oh, that's kind of cool." And they're like, "We're really thrilled to have you." And did you look at the script? I did. I go, I did. I want to ask you about the characters, something about that. And they're like, yeah, yeah. I mean, that's not so important. Just kind of play it the way you did in the audition. And you know what? I turned it down because what I could tell by what they were doing is that they were just machine running. And
right.
it's okay. But when I know and I'm having a conversation with someone and I go, for instance, there's one that I'm looking that they want me to do called Hellburger. And it's about I get a lot of priest.
Hellburger?
Hellburger.
I
Yeah.
made a movie. I line produced a movie called Hella Burger.
Oh, well, this is
It's a hell of a
Hellburger.
movie.
Yeah, it's a
Also called
priest.
Drive Through.
Oh,
But
okay. Well, it's a priest that is, and I can't say much,
this is
but
about a killer clown from a fast food restaurant.
it's kind of like that in the sense, but it's a horror film. But when I
So
did the audition, they called me back and they go, "Oh my God, what you did to it!" And I did it Southern. I'm like going to do the whole like praise the Lord thing. And they're like, "We love that because the depth you did." And there's a scene where I'm like eating and blood and trying to convince the people in a sermon. And I got in. I have a coat and I have because I've played at least 6 times a priest, including we have a ghost, which is
well, you
Harbor.
look like the Irish priest.
Yeah, yeah, and so and I even did it, and I even did it to Irish, and I said it like, and I did a take like that, and they go, "We love what you're doing," and they were allowing me to be able to elaborate on it. That's the kind of director I want to work with because, look, I don't necessarily, at this point, I don't even know what to say about this comment I'm making about at this point. But if you're starting out and you just want to get footage and you're just like, I just want to work, that's cool. But I'm not in a position where I want to be in dog shit and then people are, treating you badly. And we've all had enough of those. So what
Right.
I ask from them is, and now I'm going to have a little bit difficult time reaching the bar because I'm now being educated even more by Michael Pfeiffer, and I mean that in the sense that if they don't know what they're doing and they don't know that if I ask the f stop or if I ask is and if they don't know what they're doing, why would you want to do that? So now I have a set of questions that I ask anyway. Now you've had me add a couple more about what I want to see from a project because I said this before, I'll say it again, especially Arizona, is that I think everybody everybody in Arizona, when they move there, they get a free red camera because everybody every day is always reaching out to me going, "We're doing a Western, Will. You want to do some guns?" And I'm like, "No, I'm good." And they're all a collection of reenactors. A
Right.
lot of good stuff. Don't get me wrong. A lot of good stuff. But it's that thing again. Sometimes you can, but maybe sometimes you shouldn't.
Yeah.
And just because you got something doesn't mean you should always be doing it. So,
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah.
oh, there it is. All right. Hey, from audition to action, I'm Will Roberts.
Mike Pfeiffer,
Yeah, PfeifferFilmAcademy.com. And it's right here in the lower third.
myauditionai.com.
Yeah, myauditionai.com. And ending that, we have
We could
our
keep talking,
platform.
by the way, for another hour, but
Yeah, well, hey, so before I let you go, is there anything, can you bring this into one little microcosm and say, here are some of the things that you should take away as a director and as an actor?
well, I think I said at the beginning, but I think it's important for directors to know it's not your job to tell actors how to act. It's your job to tell them where to go, but you have to direct your crew.
Yeah,
You have to direct your crew. And by the way, as a director, they're your lenses, they're your camera moves, they're your angles, they're your shots. It's not the DP. Don't get railroaded by the AD and the DP and all that. It's your world.
yeah,
Now, for an actor, I feel that actors need to come to set and bring it. Like, bring it.
yeah,
You can always be brought down. You can
that's
always,
right.
whatever, but don't be boring.
Yeah,
Please, I'm begging you, don't be boring.
yeah,
Come with some intention, some angle, right. We talked yesterday about this actor, Michael Welch, I know, who writes a whole history of his character.
yeah, I do too. Yeah,
Does Al Pacino show up on set boring?
no,
Does Robert De Niro show up boring? Does
no,
Leonardo DiCaprio? I mean, none of these guys. They bring
no,
it, and you're asked. So I don't want to tell you how to act. I don't.
no,
I'm hiring you because I saw something in you, and that I thought you would bring to the table, and you need to bring it to the table. Don't
yeah,
just leave it behind the audition room. Bring
no,
it there, and you can. But you. So I think actors need to recognize actually they kind of have to direct themselves, because there's nothing worse than a
agreed.
director who's getting in your space,
Micromanaging.
micromanaging and telling you like think of the color blue or something. No, they need to go off and direct their crew. They need to set up the shots, pick the lenses, go manage everything, go check on art department, costume, makeup, all these other things. You need to come ready to go and come with a character. Mostly if you're not playing the lead character, there's sometimes a lead is just a straight laced person, and you just
Yep,
gotta, that's
that's what
you
you
want to
do.
stay. Sometimes you got to stay in that box. But when you have a chance to be a supporting actor, I mean, if we think of supporting actors like Steve Buscemi or Joey Pants or these actors that we actually remember in movies, even though they have little teeny parts, that's amazing,
Yeah.
Um,
Well,
and if you have,
but I love cameo roles
yeah,
because a lot of times they can walk away with the film.
but I
And
also I love lead actors who play it like it's cameo, like a Jim Carrey, for instance. Like a Jim Carrey will play a lead role as if he's a supporting actor, but he's taking it for the entire 2 hours.
that's
You
right,
know, that's amazing.
right.
I mean, even or you take Javier Bardem in No Country for Old Men.
Yeah,
He played that straight laced character. I don't know if the Coen brothers told him to do that or if that was his idea, but he did it and he stuck with it, and it's like mesmerizing. I was watching Brad Pitt in F1 or Brad Pitt in the
fight,
Quentin Tarantino movie.
fight,
No, the
not
Hollywood
Fight Club.
movie.
Oh yeah, yeah,
The
yeah. They're doing another one.
yeah.
Something
Brad
in
Pitt's the lead
Hollywood. Yeah.
actor. He's the the best looking guy in Hollywood, but he still has a character. He's still playing a character. So
No, I agree with you. So from an actor standpoint, I think again the most important thing, as I said, is that I do like it when we can go right to makeup and have our moment of zen and try to figure out what we're doing. Definitely communicating, and it's okay if you're communicating professionally. Don't ask too many questions just because you want to ask questions. Because I think a lot of times actors get on set and they want to ask questions so and the
right.
production knows that they are actors and they know what they're talking about.
Yeah.
I personally love, that getting so involved in the character that what you're going to get is you're going to get something, you're going to get a performance, but you're
Be
going to get
memorable.
something that's easy. Yeah,
Remember, movies last 1,000 years. They literally are going to last 1,000 years.
yeah,
A Wizard of Oz is going to be playing for 1,000 years, and even you know, American Valor, which Will was in mine last year, it will last forever. So
yeah,
be memorable. Be
yeah.
memorable.
Yeah, and then again, remember that this is a piece of the puzzle for you. You do this unless you're planning on this being your last film, okay? But in most cases, actors are building things based upon their reputation and the old adage of you get your next film from your last film.
Yeah,
So, all right, hey, audition to action. I'm Will Roberts, Michael
Mike
Pfeiffer.
Pfeiffer.
Yeah, lower right here, you can see both of our websites and go to them. Join Michael's school because, I mean, it's ridiculous how inexpensive it is. And coming soon, there might be a really great major announcement that will help you. I think, Michael, I was just thinking about this as well and talking to my partner Sal about that Michael Pfeiffer Film Academy needs a mentoring program that people can log in and go, I have this much money, I want you to shadow us, and so on and
Right.
so on.
Well, it says
So
it on the website. It says on the website, and you can hire me to make your movies too.
I know. Yeah, yeah, there you go.
I'm available to direct. That's what we do, right?
Yes.
This is a networking hustle game, no matter what. I mean,
Yeah,
the
no
reason I've
matter what.
directed 80 movies is because I'm available to direct, and Will's
Absolutely.
available to produce movies and
To
act in
be in
movies.
his movie, yeah.
So
All
you
right,
can
hey,
contact us to make your movies.
absolutely. And they'll be great. From start to finish, that's what this is all about when you're talking about audition to action. We'll see you next time on the show. And other than that, get out there and action.